Welcome to Inspired Edinburgh, the home of powerful conversations. I'm Elliot Reeves, and my guest today is Mark Cooper. Mark is an Edinburgh-based motivational speaker, ultra-runner, expedition consultant, and fundraiser. You originally took up running in 2007 to stop smoking and have since competed in countless events. In 2010, you completed an expedition across Europe where you ran 50 marathons in 56 days from Amsterdam to Barcelona in memory of your mum and raised over £30,000 for the Edinburgh Headway group. You were subsequently awarded the Inspiration Award from Jog Scotland and received letters of support from ex-Prime Minister Gordon Brown and former SNP Leader Alex Salmond. Mark, it's absolutely incredible to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Elliot.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's great to have you here. I've wanted to have a conversation with you for a while. It's been on my list and I'm glad that we finally made it happen.
It's great, yeah.
Excellent. So you are a fellow Edinburgher. What was growing up in Edinburgh like for you?
It was great. I lived just near Portobello. So actually it's something I love being near the sea. It's never left me. So we stayed in Mountcastle area. I had a great childhood, yeah. I had one brother, Alan. My grandparents and my aunt lived in Portobello as well, so we were always together, and a big tight group of friends around there as well. So
yeah, good stuff. How would you, I suppose, describe what you were like growing up? What were you like as a person?
Full of beans, to be honest. I was always, a lot of people say, not just about me but with themselves, but I was always the kind of person, and the report card would say, you know, class clown, always tries to make people laugh. And then that was in primary school, and then we got to high school, I think you generally change when you get to that age, and most people do anyway. And I went a little bit quiet, but I was always had a really solid group of friends around me, and we're still all friends to this day as well. So,
When you were young, what did you see yourself doing when you were older, when you were an adult?
From about the age of about 10 until maybe about 15, 16, I wanted to be a chef.
Really?
Yeah, always cooked with my mum in the kitchen. It was great. They're like my happiest memories. And my brother actually went to catering college as well, so that kind of made me think, oh, that's something that I'd love to do. And I never pursued it, but I still do all the cooking at home. So
yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. What was your, I suppose, like your career journey before you originally started running? What did you get yourself into at that point?
Well, so my mum passed away when I was 14, and obviously I was just going at exam times when that happened, and it was during the summer holidays. I was off school and I was going back to exams that year, but obviously that was one of the furthest things from my mind at that point. So I just cruised through the exams, to be honest, and school wasn't a list of my priorities. I just could care less about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I did stay on till 6th year, really just coasting. Have a good time with my friends, that kind of thing. Didn't get any hires, but I wasn't really concerned. And then I left school, landed in a job in a law firm, which was a good enough job for my age, but in the role that I was pursuing, there was not much development or any promotion to be had, and no career certainly anyway. It was what you'd call a dead-end job, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Looking back on the sort of earlier time in your life, what impact do you think that losing your mother actually had on you as a person?
At the time, probably not too much at the time. It was more later on.
Okay.
So at the time, you're young, you know, you're kind of a bit confused, you don't really appreciate what's actually happened. And then it sinks in a little bit and you kind of, I didn't go off the rails really, but I'd kind of lost interest in a lot of things that I perhaps was before. So at that age, you kind of start going out with your friends, going down the park, having a few drinks, and that was really what I spent my time doing most weekends, just going out with my friends and drinking. And that's maybe not uncommon, but it was really more when I got into my early 20s actually, so a few years afterwards, and I started to think, do you know, actually, I don't feel like I'm doing anything with my life here, and actually, nobody's going to help me do that, I need to do this for myself. So that's really the decision I came to, that I needed to do something urgent.
Yeah, yeah. And you did.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
When did you first start smoking?
16.
Was it?
Yeah, it was actually, it was a girl's fault. So my then girlfriend, Heather, if she's watching this, she used to sneak around the side of her mum and dad's and she'd have a cigarette because she didn't know she smoked. And one day I says, oh, let me try one. And that was that. You know, I used to hang at the back of the school gates, and it was really bizarre because my mum actually smoked, and my dad always hated it, and we always hated it, me and my brother. So it's really strange for me to do. But no, I smoked for about 10 years, I'd say.
Really?
Maybe more. No, 8 years. 8 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've got to be honest, I did enjoy it at first.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it at first. But yeah, I mean, again, one of the best things I ever did was stopping.
And what was the trigger? When did you decide that actually this habit's not serving me? I want to change.
I think it was a collection of things. I used to work in a solicitor's firm, and they were on the North Castle Street, and you know, some of the new townhouses, they've got the downstairs sort of outside area. And that's where you had the cigarette break.
Okay.
And I was standing there one day, and I was hungover, and I felt terrible. It was bucketing with rain, and I just thought, I was smoking this cigarette, and I just thought to myself, what are you doing? You know, this is, never mind the smoking, that was bad enough, but it was more the, what are you doing with your life here? You know, I felt like I'd just gone down this river, came to these forks, made no decision, just went with the flow the whole time. And I didn't know what I was wanting to do in my life. And one of the things I thought, what can I do right now? What can I do right now for myself? I says, why don't you stop smoking and just go for a run the next day? And that's what happened. So, and it felt different at that time. I'd said I'd try and stop smoking before and do something different with my life, but when I thought about it this time, it just felt different. It felt like this isn't me. This isn't a wish. It's actually a plan.
Okay, kind of an existential crisis moment.
Yeah.
What am I doing with my life?
Yeah. Definitely.
What's the first thing I can change here?
Yeah. What's the easy thing? Well, I can put this out in my hand and stub that out and never do it again.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
How long was it before you went back to smoking?
So I was quite, I'd tried to stop 3 times before that.
Okay.
Never seriously, if I'm in all honesty. But it just so happened at this point when I stopped, the smoking ban came in as well, in the pubs, and it really helped because I didn't have to be around any of that anymore.
Yeah.
So I never actually had to have a cigarette again.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, but it felt, I don't know, I wouldn't say easy, but it did feel a lot easier this time because I just made up my mind. You know, and I wasn't, there are times I think I was just, you know, kidding myself. But this time I think it's really weird because sometimes you can make decisions and if you're dead set in them, they're easy to carry out no matter how difficult they seem.
Yeah, yeah. What's your identity relative to smoking these days?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I don't want someone sitting next to me while I eat my food. But I understand why people would smoke because I did it once, you know, so I'm not like the smoking police or anything like that.
No,
you know,
no.
I've got friends that smoke, it's absolutely fine. It's freedom of choice, so.
Yeah. And do you consider yourself absolutely a non-smoker now then?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 10 years smoke-free this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good going.
Yeah, yeah. I would have thought I'd say that at some point years ago, but
yeah. So your first run wasn't across the whole of Europe. It was more, what was it, 200 yards?
Yeah, it was around the Figget Park.
All right, okay.
Yeah, around the Figget Park. So just next to where I live with my dad, and just next to his house was the park, and I thought I'll go and run around this park. Oh, I felt dreadful. I mean, I barely made it a couple of 100 yards. And I wanted to have that cigarette and things like that, but I didn't. And then it was interesting because I just stuck with it every day. Got a bit farther, got a bit further, and eventually made it around the park. It was only a mile. And when I think about that now, I mean, it's crazy to think I couldn't run a mile. But you've got to start somewhere, like everybody.
Yeah.
And I signed up for a race, which was a 10-kilometre race in Edinburgh. And that felt huge to me. I mean, it's huge. I mean, it is a big deal. To me, it doesn't feel like a big deal now, but then it was like, oh my goodness, 10 kilometres, how am I going to do this? And finishing that race and beating the time that I wanted, which was an hour, I got 55 minutes. Actually, because I didn't take school seriously, because I'd kind of coasted most of my life, that part of my life anyway, and career and everything like that, finishing that race was probably like the first time I thought, you've actually set yourself a goal, and you've not just met your goal, you've exceeded your expectations and everybody else's, because nobody gave me a shot at doing it. And actually I liked that as well. So
So was that like your first taste of sort of success?
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
And what then happened from there? How did it continue?
Well, I'd done all the training with my friend Peter, and he said that's enough for me. So I just carried on myself. But it wasn't just, you know, I started becoming physically better. You know, I was stuck around with my friends having a good time. I was a young man. But you know, you've got to still do things in your life to enjoy yourself. But I felt differently about how I viewed life and about how I viewed work and other people, and I did things that I thought are going to be good for me, rather than just what I think people may expect of me. So I bought a bike. I got ridiculed for buying a bike. You know, it seems silly, but nobody else that I knew or friends were like, "What are you buying a bike for?" I was like, "I'm going to cycle to work," and I got laughed at. So it was little things like that. Before I would have like, "Oh no, they're right. I shouldn't get that bike." And I thought, well, no, this is something that is going to be good for me. And that's how it started. I started cycling to work, and then me and my friend Matthew cycled the length of Britain.
That's
and that
right,
was the
yeah.
next thing in 2009.
Yeah.
Which again was just crazy. We were not prepared. We didn't have any accommodation. We didn't plan a route. We just said, let's just go. We think we start at Land's End and we'll find our way. But I mean, it depends what kind of person you are. But I kind of like that, not being prepared. You know, for me, that being totally prepared, having a big crew, having all this stuff planned, accommodation booked in, that takes away from the adventure for me and the sense of challenge and accomplishment. So, so yeah.
Nice. How long did that take you?
Well, we planned for 12 days. It took 11.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Matt, who I used to work with, he got injured on the second day, so his knee was really bad, and we were just out. We just got to. I can't remember now. Somewhere down in England, anyway, big university town, and he said, "That's it. I can't cycle. I can't go on. It's the second day," and at Bristol, and he said, "I'm going to have to go home. I'm sorry." So he left me and got a flight. He left his bike chained outside the hotel, and I thought, well, I'm just going to have to do this myself now. And I went to bed thinking, right, well, I'll have to get on tomorrow and just do it. And I woke up and he'd driven back down from Lithgow where he lived all the way down to Bristol, and said, "I'll support you up the country."
Wow.
It just still touches me now, actually, thinking about that, because he
Yeah.
was so disappointed at the fact that his trip was over, and he thought, "I don't want to miss this. You know, I've trained for this, and I can still play a part." And it's really kind of quite amazing.
Yeah.
He did that.
That's brilliant.
So we did it 11 days, and at the end, actually, Matt had the cheek to say, "I'm never doing anything like this again." And I thought, "You've just sat in a car eating crisps and chocolate." You know what I mean? And I says, "No, me neither." But actually, I knew, even when I said it, I thought, I don't believe that, actually, because it's something I just felt, I just loved it, you know. It was brutal. I mean, I know thousands of people do it every year. There's hundreds of thousands of people do a 10K. It just depends what your aims are. But yeah, I loved that. I loved the fact that it was brutal, and it was horrible at times. And
What is it about pushing yourself that you enjoy?
I don't know. I think I don't feel like I've got anything to prove to myself or to anyone else. I don't feel like. Funny, I have a colleague who's left work now, and said, "Oh, I just run all the time," and she was like, "Maybe it'd be better if you just stopped and just cleared your mind for a bit and stopped for a minute and sat still." I was thinking, but you don't get it. I'm not running away from anything. This is how I find my stillness, by doing these things. You know, that's when I feel most comfortable, in the middle of the mountains in Scotland, pouring rain, 20 miles to run, and that's where I feel most like this is my zen. Do you know what I mean? This is my mindfulness.
Yeah.
So I think it's part of that as well. Yeah.
That's really cool. Love that. So where did the idea to run a kind of across Europe come from then?
So because Mum passing away was so sudden, I hadn't really ever given any thought to raising any money or turning that into a positive, because I think you can turn any negative into something that's positive. But I'd never had any desire or motivation to do anything significant enough to kind of mark that thing that happened in my life. And I thought, well, now I feel like I'm in relatively good shape. I wasn't the fittest guy in the world, but I wasn't that unfit. And I thought, you could do something here. We'd raised a lot of money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation on the cycle. I mean, like £3,000 or something. And I thought, but we could do a lot more. I could do a lot more than that. And running was my love at this point. The cycle was because Matt wanted to do it, and he didn't run. He cycled. So I said, well, let's do a cycle. But if I was going to do something myself, it was going to be running. And I thought about running in the UK, but I just thought, well, I've just cycled it. It seems a bit silly, and I want to go and see something new. So my dad had said, if you're going to do something for a charity, you should do it for the Edinburgh Headway group, because they helped me when your mum passed away. And I never knew that.
Right.
And it's a fantastic organisation up at the Lanes Hospital. just helping people with acquired brain injuries. And they just basically, they only spoke to my dad on the phone a couple of times, but they gave him some advice that really helped him to kind of understand what had happened and some coping things. And I didn't know that at all, but he said, you should do it for them. And of course I thought, well, there's nobody else. I didn't have any charity. I thought, no, I want to do it for this charity. And my dad said that. I thought, well, I'll have to do it for them. And the reason for Amsterdam to Barcelona, well, Barcelona, just outside Barcelona, there was a little village, and that was one of the last places. That was the last place we went on holiday as a family together. So I thought Barcelona would be an incredible place to finish as well. Yeah. Plaza de Catalunya and Amsterdam, mainly because actually we can get the ferry over to Amsterdam. But one of the big reasons was my now wife, who was my then brand new girlfriend. Actually, our first date, I'd known her for years, but we went on our first date on the 18th of September 2009. I think that's right. And on the 19th of September 2009, the day after, I decided I was going to do this. I was going to do a run. And the original plan was actually my friend Rona was a teacher, and she was staying in Murcia, and she's my best friend. And I said, oh, I'm going to run around the coast of Spain. I'll run to Murcia. That's what I'll do, and I'll spend a couple of weeks with you in there. And then I thought, it just doesn't feel right. And then, long story short, she came back to Edinburgh, wasn't settled in Murcia. But I said to Farrell, if the day after our first date, I'm going to do this big run across Europe, like 1,000 miles or something. And this is when I knew she was the one for me, because she didn't say, oh, you're mad. She went, oh, can I help? And she actually found a route that was online that existed for cyclists. And it was Amsterdam to Barcelona. Fantastic guy from the Netherlands who's got routes all across Europe. Really? I mean, it's incredible. I got Paul Benjamins, it's amazing. And it was all in Dutch. But he said, here's the maps, sent me them. I got a woman who lived in Eindhoven who translated them all into English. Brilliant. So I could follow all the directions. But it had a list of B&Bs, campsites, everything, landmarks. And when I seen that, I thought, well, that feels like I'm going to have to do it now. And I got the total distance, which was 1,311 miles, and I said a marathon a day seems achievable. I'd never run one at this point. Divided it by marathon and thought, what's 50 marathons plus one spare mile? That's what was left. And the spare mile, I'll tell you a bit later. But and the reason it was 56 days was because when I did the cycle, I could do it on a cycle unsupported, but the run, I thought, can I do it unsupported? Looking back now, I wish I probably had done it unsupported. And when I say supported, I had one friend who wasn't a qualified masseuse or anything like that. They were just there just to kind of, at the end, where are we going to stay today? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, it's 6 miles to the nearest town we're going to have to go, or find the nearest campsite or something like that. So it was 8 weeks I was away. The 6 days, there should have been 8 people, but Farrell left, my wife, she covered 3 weeks, the first week and the last 2 weeks. And then friends, and even strangers, covered the weeks in between. Really? Yeah, a couple of now friends, but strangers then. Heard what you're doing for a friend, love to do that. And for me, I'm quite an introvert person. Well, my friends wouldn't think that, but in certain situations, I'll be like, I'll just shy for the conversation. So for me to think, I'm going to send a week with someone I don't know, I'm shattered, I'm running, but it turned out to be amazing. I'm getting ahead of myself a bit here, but that's how it came about, really. And I thought, what a cool place to start, Amsterdam, and finish in Barcelona. Yeah. And go through the whole of France and the Pyrenees and all that kind of thing. Oh, wow. And I've not been able to touch a single drop of wine. I didn't drink for 9 months. Seriously? Yeah. Wow. I think I had one night out in about 9 months. And being in a band, that was hard, because, you know, we'd play gigs and I'd be like, right, see you guys. We went to Newcastle for a gig, and we played the gig, and I was like, right, I'll see you later. I'm going back to the hotel and going for a run in the morning. You know? Because they're all just like, what is wrong with him? So yeah, it was quite an achievement, but going through France and not having any wine was tricky. So. Yeah. So how did you go about training and preparing for something like that? Yeah, I mean, I'd never run a marathon at this point, but that was part of the attraction. And also I thought, if I'm going to raise a lot of money, I need to do something that people are going to go, you're doing what? If I'd said I'm going to run one marathon, I would have raised some money, but nowhere near what I wanted to for the organisation, because it's a small organisation, you know, the money that we raised goes a long way there. So I wanted to make a real difference to the charity, but I also wanted to go on this big adventure. You know, I could do a marathon. It's an adventure. It's an incredible achievement, but I wanted to go on a big super adventure across Europe. So, but I knew I had to be, really physically in a great shape. So it was September 2009, and it was May the 1st, 2010. Was the first day I ran the marathon. The first day, I mean, looking back, people would tell you that my approach to this was just, how did you not get injured? And this is just stupid. But I really think things like training and physical fitness, it's really down to not just like an individual, but your mindset as well.
Massively, yeah.
I mean, I'm not kidding, for 9 months, every month, and thankfully I had a job at that point that allowed me to do this, but every minute of every day, all I thought about was, how good will it be when you get to Barcelona? How good will it be when you get there? I'm not kidding, I was obsessed. And every run, I'd be like, I've done 20 miles. Do you know what I mean? Because I just would be in this zone.
Yeah.
And it didn't mean it wasn't hard. It was hard to do all this training. And it was the coldest winter in Scotland for 100 years, that winter as well. But it was all just character building for me. I just thought, you're going to go out in that, south of France is going to be a doddle, even though it's 40 degrees hotter than it was here. So it was all character building. And basically what it consisted of was, running every single day, so no days off. Probably about, during the week, maybe like 10 miles every single day, marathon every Sunday.
Wow.
And I say the marathon on a Sunday, I mean, I was taking it easy. I wasn't, I was like, I've got to do a marathon today. I've got 6 hours to do it. I can stop, have some lunch. I wasn't putting too much pressure on myself because it was just about getting miles in the legs and that kind of thing. I wasn't training for a sub 3 hour marathon. I was training for endurance.
Yeah.
So it didn't have to be so intense. I don't remember being tired. I honestly don't. But I think, again, that was just down to the mindset. I was so determined and so bloody minded that I didn't really feel that kind of side of it. And I have to say, I mean, the body's incredible. I mean, I was in all right shape. I wasn't like that fit, you know what I mean? But to go from September to May and the difference in that period of time, that's when people come and talk to me sometimes about, I want to get fit. And I say, in 6 months, you could be in the best shape of your life. I'm not kidding. Do you know what I mean? You could be. People don't believe you though. And that's a testament, 9 months and I totally transformed. I didn't have a six-pack of that, unfortunately. But, you have to eat the right things for that. But my fitness, overall, I was the fittest I'd ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And when we raised a lot of money, but we did some cool things as well. So I was doing these marathons on a Sunday, and let's be honest, that is a massive achievement doing a marathon for anyone. So we decided to set up treadmills in shopping centres and just do marathons on treadmills. So I did one in Cameron Toll, St James's Centre, and Waverley Centre.
Seriously?
Yeah, so we did a marathon in each one, and raised about £1,200 or something like in each one, which was great, and it raised loads of awareness. And this is what I mean about fate, that everything's worth doing, right? Because I remember running, and this lady came up to me and she said, "Oh, tell me about this." She's an English lady. I said, "Oh, I'm doing this marathon." She goes, "Oh, my name's Julia. I actually ran in the 86 Commonwealth Games in Meadowbank in Edinburgh. I think it was 86. And she said, I ran the marathon, and I write for Running Free magazine, and I do a podcast." And I was like, "Oh, right." She says, "Well, I'll interview you one time." And so I was like, "All right, cool." So we did this interview, and she said, "Oh, the podcast's out here." And I was like, just out of curiosity, Julia, how many downloads she get? She was like a dozen or something, right? And I was like, "Oh, a dozen, all right." But one of her friends, one of the people who listened to the podcast, had a reason to be sympathetic towards the charity, but she loved what I was doing. And one day I was on my run, and just given, you get a notification saying that you've had a donation. It was near the end, and it said someone's donated £8,000, and I was like, "I've got to be a mistake. They must have put the decimal point in the wrong place." And I had an email from this lady who I'd never met saying, "All the best for your last few days. I've made a donation for your charity. I hope it helps get you over the line," because I'd set a target of 25 grand. And I emailed her. I was like, "Sorry, but do you mean like £80 or something?" She was like, "No, £8,000 for the Edinburgh Headway group." And it's because she heard that podcast.
Oh,
so it's just like fate.
God.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Again, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but yeah.
Not at all. No, it's brilliant. Absolutely awesome. Cool. So, when did you kind of set off for this journey? And after the first few days, did you ever have any doubts creep in? Were you kind of like, what have I actually got myself into here?
Yeah. I mean, because it's easy to sit here now and go, once all of you feel great and you've moved on and think, wasn't that hard, that actually? I guess that's part of the attraction. That's why people like that do these races and ultra marathons, at the time they go, never again, never again. And then about 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, I fancy that race, it wasn't that bad. So I'd managed to stay injury free. I was in a great place mentally, physically. You know, I had my support crew. I was all set, and we went. Me and Farley, my girlfriend then, wife now, we got the ferry from Newcastle to Amsterdam, and set off. And I was so excited. It was Queen's Day when I got to Amsterdam, so it's like the biggest celebration in the Netherlands. Millions of people just getting wasted in Amsterdam, and I was thinking, oh, I can't join them. To be honest, I was like, this is the biggest party ever. But I started running from Dam Square, the centre of Amsterdam, and actually a few people came to meet me at the start, and my friend Rona came over and things like that, which was great. And set off, and it was only very quickly within 4 or 5 miles I was on the Amstel River, completely silent, unmowing, just me and the geese and the ducks, and I thought, wow, that's when it hit me. I thought, wow, like this is it, you know, because the hardest bit was just all the prep, all the work. All that was just like really tedious at times, to be honest. Enjoyable, but at the same time, like, oh, is this ever going to come? And that's when I thought, you're on it, this is it, you know. And then the pressure started to hit a bit, because thinking, God, hang on a minute, actually, you've said you're going to do this. Now it's all down to you now. Nobody can help you, really, you know. But I managed to kind of push that to the back of my mind. One of the main things I was really concerned, it was really early on, and we were staying. The man who'd written the route, he's got some friends in a place called Schoonhoven, and we'd stayed with him for 2 nights. He'd offered us for free accommodation. I'm going to take everything I can get because we didn't have a lot of money. And I was staying with him, and I remember coming to his house after about marathon 3 or 4, and I was in agony. Like my knees were killing me. I'd never known pain like this from any of my training, and the tendon at the front of your foot here, which kind of comes out when you lift your foot, was all swollen up. And I finished the 4th marathon with one shoe and just hobbling along the road. Got to mile 18, and I was lost as well, and I was like radioed Fairlift, and I was like, I cannot. It was freezing cold as well. I don't know why it was so cold in May, but it was freezing. Probably just going into shock because I stopped running, and I was like, I didn't think about stopping, but I thought, this is going to be hellish if it's like this for the next 50 days. And actually the people we were staying with, they were lovely, but the lady, the wife of the man we were staying with, was like, I knew you'd never do this, it's too far, your knees won't hold out. And I was like, I ken the Dutch have maybe got certain character, you know, their tone might not be, but I'm picking up a bit of negativity here. But it was nice to stay with them, but I didn't want, and this is just stupid, and it's probably just part of the way of my makeup, but you know, the way I am, but Farah was like, you need to go and see a physio, this is ridiculous. And I was like, I am not, because I was like, if I go and see a physio, we've failed, this is a failure. And she was like, are you absolutely insane? Like, this is like day 4 and you're in agony. And as you know, it's funny because, how do I say this without upsetting people? The people that were closest to me when I was planning this and doing it weren't as supportive or interested. Interesting. I don't know what that was. We were all just kind of young men as well. We were only 26-year-old or something. But it was loads of support I got was from strangers. I got lots of people supporting me, but I was quite surprised. And the amount of people that supported me that were complete strangers. And I'll tell you an example was the lady that translated all the route into English, which was not an easy thing for her to do. She'd wanted to meet me. She met me when I finished the first marathon in a place called Vorden, and she came to meet me, and her name was Judith. She was great, and she was like, oh, it's really cool what you're doing. And I happened to text her and said, like, I'm in a bad way. My wife said that I need to speak to someone about this, and she said, my friend's a physio, let's see what I can do. She made a call. He said he'll see me, he'll not charge me. You know, it was all these little things, and it was in Eindhoven, and you know, Philip drove me to there. We went to see him, and I was like, what can you do for me? There's nothing you can do. It's just a strain. It's just overuse. And he used this thing called kinesio tape, and it was relatively new then. But if you look at the athletes or footballers, they've got the luminous pink and blue tape all over their legs. It was that, and he said, let me look at this, and he put tape all over me, and I kind of left his office thinking that was a waste of time. You know, he's just put sellotape all over my legs, and I left, and I'm not even kidding to say that and the first half marathon, I felt like I was getting warmed up, getting loosened up, and the pain never came back after that. It never came back.
Really?
And I phoned them, maybe like 25 days later, and I remember I was lying, I'd finished like a marathon, whatever it was, and I was in the rare opportunity, I had a nice hotel and I had a pool, and I had a freezing cold can of juice, and I phoned them, I was like, I just want to say, you've like literally saved this entire trip, you have, like, I owe you so much. And he was obviously, because he was a runner himself, so he understood. That was probably the lowest point. Mm-hmm. And I have memories about maybe week 3, so when it was like 14, 15, you feel like, God, I've still got so long to go. Like, I am nowhere near, I've not even touched this here, and I'm shattered. And I remember a day, my friend Matt that had done the cycle with me, he came out for a week, which is great because he'd been on that trip with me and he knew how the kind of zone I went into when I was doing these things. And the place we were staying, I was in an attic, like a B&B, I was in an attic roof, and they had one of those blackout blinds, and you could go like that, couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Mm-hmm. And I woke up in the morning and I was like, the coziest bed, and it was bucketing with rain, and I was thinking, I just remember thinking, I can't do this today. First day I just thought, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And I've got to do it over and over and over and over. And I thought to myself that, I know I'm going to get myself out of bed because of the reasons of, the charity, all that stuff. But I did kind of doubt for the first time that if it starts to get gradually, if every day I wake up and it starts to get gradually harder and harder, mm-hmm. there might be a day that I just go, I don't know if I can do this. It's just too big a task. Mm-hmm. So it did really play on my mind. But I had a little technique. I had a little flip cam that I used to carry, mainly just for my own benefit. I just wanted to keep a record of it all. And I got lots of little videos and snippets and things that I thought were interesting. But I made sure that I'd made a film in the morning when I woke up, just a short video diary thing. I made sure I did one at the halfway mark of the run that day, and I made sure I did one at the end. And it was really interesting to watch, because when I used to wake up in the morning, every video went the same way. The morning one was like, I cannot do this. I'm just so tired, I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm not up to this. And then the halfway one was just like, I'm feeling all right. And at the end of it, it was always like, another one done, woohoo, kind of thing, right? Yeah. So when I'd feel it, that was the technique. And then when I'd wake up in the morning, I'd watch the end of the day before, and I'd be like, get yourself out, because you're going to feel like that in 5-6 hours. That wasn't a plan. It was just something that happened, developed over the course of it.
Yeah. What's it like now, looking back on that experience?
I feel really lucky. Mm-hmm. Really, overriding thing is absolutely privileged to be able to do it. And I know some people look at that and go, I can't think of anything worse. And that's fine, because everybody has what they're interested in. Mm-hmm. For me, that's what I wanted to do. But the people I was doing it for, as in the people that came to Edinburgh Headway group, a lot of them don't have a choice. They can't walk, they can't run, mm-hmm. They can't even write their own name. So for me to complain about having to do some runs, it just seems trivial. So the main thing is, I feel proud, obviously, but I think the main thing is really lucky, really lucky to have done it. Yeah.
How do you think your life might be different now had you never found running?
I'd changed already. This wasn't the thing that suddenly changed me, but I wouldn't have the career that I have without a shadow of a doubt. I felt differently about how I viewed life and things like that, but I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I think through the process of preparing for this, planning for it, and finishing it and coming home, and going back to the job, which I had a supportive company. My colleagues were great, but the job was just, for me, it wasn't something I was engaged with at all, mm-hmm. Which is just fine. But when I came back, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do good in the world. I couldn't make a career at running because I'm not Mo Farah, so I thought, well, you can't. And plus, for a while, I thought I'll just keep doing these challenges. And then a colleague said to me, "Yeah, but when are you actually going to do something for yourself? Because you're not going to get paid for this. And at the end of the day, you've got to make a living, and you've got to do something every day that you're happy and you enjoy. Because what's the point otherwise?" And that's when I obviously applied for the job at Maggie's, which is where I work now.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's been life-changing.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's the best job in the world. Honestly, it is. It's the best. Work with the best, most dedicated people. I meet the most incredible people in the centre. Incredible for all sorts of reasons. You know, some are brave, some are modest, some are just remarkable. It's a hard job. It's a stressful job. But I think, you know, we spoke before we started the camera that what's the point otherwise if it's not difficult or challenging? There's no point, you know, because then there's no sense of accomplishment or achievement. And that's something that it's funny. To be cheesy, and everybody has a quote, and mine's is I can't even remember. Mine's gone blank who it was that said it now, but it was, unless you try to do something beyond what you've already mastered, you will never grow.
It's Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Absolutely.
I knew this quote was coming.
Yeah, honestly,
it's such a good quote.
And it's interesting, even now, about, right, what am I doing right now? And that includes work, you know, in personal life. What am I doing right now? If I feel I don't want life to become like a recipe. Oh, I just know what happens, you know, it's just a recipe. I just get on with it, do it every day. And if I felt like I'd always have to say, right, what am I going to do next, you know? Something to keep you in that kind of comfort zone and keep you feeling like on it and creative and ambitious as well. And that's the other thing. It made me feel, I mean, I was like, I hate when people say, you can do anything. Because you can do anything if your circumstances are right.
Yeah.
And you've got the desire. But it was the ambition, you know. Phil always says to me that nothing phases you. I was like, that probably because of what I've done.
Yeah.
And, you know, I believe that if you want to do anything career-wise, you know, you're a best psychologist, I'll just go and train to be a psychologist. I don't think you have to be a certain type of individual to do anything in this life. I just think that you have to have the desire to do it. But anyway,
that's super. No, that's great. It's really inspirational. I love that. I hadn't actually heard of Maggie's Centres until obviously I started researching this. What is the work that they do, and what does your current role entail?
So Maggie's is it's the only organisation that supports anyone affected by cancer. So that includes the person who has cancer, their friends and their family. There's lots of charities that do support for people with cancer, all different kind of things. But Maggie's is the only charity that's got purpose-built centres on hospital NHS grounds, which are there, and they support anyone with any of the 300 types of cancer at any stage. You know, people in remission, people who've lost loved ones. They actually started in Edinburgh, Maggie's. So Maggie was from Dumfriesshire, and she was diagnosed with cancer in the West in general, and her experience wasn't the greatest of that. She was in a hospital corridor moments later and thought, did I just go home? I had to tell my children and my husband this news. And she thought we must be able to do better than this. And one day she was getting her treatment at the Western General Hospital, and she looked out at this old stable block and said, can we not do something with that space? And actually, I do believe in fate sometimes, but her husband was a guy called Charles Jenks, who's a very well-known landscape gardener, designer. And he was friends with a guy called Richard Murphy, so a well-known Edinburgh architect. Richard would have been probably not long out of architecture school then, in 1980, early 90s. And he said, well, I'm looking for a project. And he came on board, and they all collaborated, and they designed this beautiful centre down at the Western General. Maggie died in 1995, opened in 1996, and they named it Maggie after her. But the amazing thing about it is that all the centres are right next to oncology units or haematology units on the hospital ground, because it's meant to be easy for people just to pop over. But Maggie's never approaches an NHS site to be on there. We're always invited. And in the 21 years that Maggie's has been going, so it's 21 this year, there's 17 centres open and another 4 in development.
Wow. So
it's really amazing what a legacy that Maggie's left.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants to kind of think they've left some kind of legacy in what she has, really. So it's an amazing place.
Yeah. One of the quotes that you said, I love a challenge, charity, and helping people to achieve their ambitions. Why is that? Where do you think that comes from?
Maybe because, it's a good question. Maybe just because, I'll go get really, so I have a real problem with, you'll wonder where I'm going with this, but I have a real problem with the education system.
Okay.
I think that assumptions are made about children because they're not academic. or they're not deemed to be. So you're not good at maths and English and languages and things like that. You might be good at music, but you never get a career doing that. So there's assumptions made about people. Because how many times are you told that in school, you know? I want to be a painter, you never make money doing that. Stick to this. I think that's an awful way to do things because everybody's different. They've all got different skills and interests. So I think for me, I felt growing up that nobody listened to me, nobody helped to nurture what I wanted to do. And I think the thing I get from working at Maggie's is that you meet vulnerable people all the time. You meet the most amazing people all the time. But I get to, Maggie's has a fundraising approach which is unique in charities, as far as I can see, is that we don't blanket mail random people, we don't cold call, we don't chug in the street, we don't harass people. We have a very much our fundraising approach mirrors the support people get in the centre. So that is tailored to the individual, what they want. And it's all about relationships, just like what the support in our centres is all about. It's about relationships, one-to-one, or with friends, family. And I get enormous satisfaction for able to meet people. I mean, a week for me now is just, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen next week. You know, I don't know who I'm going to meet. You know, 1 minute I'm doing a bucket collection, the next minute I'm speaking to someone who can give us a 6-figure donation potentially. You know what I mean? And I love that. But if it's that person that can give you that enormous gift or that transformational gift, or it's someone that can give you £5, there's no difference for me. You know, the approach and the relationship with them, they're just all people. So I think part of that stems from me just, you know, didn't feel like I was encouraged when I was young, and I feel like I want to be able to help people to reach their capacity. I remember actually going down to speak at an event in Norwich, and it was vulnerable children, foster and care homes, that kind of thing, and I was telling them all about things that I'd done and my view on life and about what they can achieve. And I was speaking to this guy called John afterwards, and he says, Matt, that from most of these kids, nobody will ever spoken to them like that in their lives. You know, they'll just be talked down to. Nobody will be positive. There's no positive role model in their life, and that I find is crazy. You know.
I found a Nicorette commercial that you did, which I think it appears to be done almost like retrospectively. When was that filmed, and how did that get commissioned?
It was 2015. In August 2015.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So I got a call, got an email actually from an agency who represented Nicorette, saying that they wanted to make a film, and I have to admit to being a bit torn about it, to be honest. And yeah, I still do feel torn about it, to be honest, because they paid me for it. I'm not ashamed to admit that.
Okay.
I've got to help me to buy my house, you know. That sounds like they gave me a fortune, but they didn't. But it was enough to make us, put the offer in that we could do to get the house, which was a little bit extra. So when I look like that, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, they got in touch and said they wanted to make a film. I did swear at it, especially given what where I work, because I didn't want my work to be associated with that, because I didn't want to think that Maggie endorses Nicorette. No, it doesn't. But I thought, I think. Yeah, they're trying to make money, Nicorette, but they do help people,
Yeah.
They actually, the long and short of it is, yes, they're trying to make money. I don't know if their stuff works, to be honest. At the end of the video, it says Mark Cooper does not endorse Nicorette products, and I don't. But if what they tell me, they've got these stats and they seem pretty good, it can only be a good thing, so.
Yeah. I mean, what they've made, the short film is phenomenal. It's incredibly powerful, but I just wasn't sure on your stance, RE kind of, Nicorette as an organisation. But as you say, they are helping people stop smoking. Yeah, which isn't altogether a bad thing.
No, and that's the thing. And actually, and just because I managed to do it cold turkey, so to speak, doesn't mean that some people might not be able to do it that way.
Exactly.
And they might need a bit of help. Yeah. And actually, it's interesting because you get Nicorette off your doctor, so it can't be that bad. They give you a prescription for it if you want it. Yeah. So if they've been endorsed by GPs, then it can't be that bad. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was fortunate that the two guys that I hooked up with were just brilliant. The one guy from Germany and one guy from England, Tom. A Common Future was their company, and they were the directors, and they created the storyboards and the idea. and they pitched it to me, and actually I just thought, actually these guys they've got it nailed on because they get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really fortunate to work with two great directors as well. Yeah.
What advice would you give to anyone that's looking to break a habit, be it smoking, drinking, anything?
Oh, I think, I mean, I said I tried 3 times before to stop. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Just keep trying. Like anything in life, you know what I mean? Just keep trying. And don't get too downhearted and hard on yourself, yeah? You know what I mean? If it's smoking, for example, if you give a relapse, have a couple of cigarettes, or if it's people that are on a diet, you know, how many times have you seen people that, you know, I've done it myself, you're on a diet, you have something to eat and then you just go off the rails for 3 weeks. Oh God, I shouldn't have had that for supper. Then you just eat crap for 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? It's like, give yourself a break and just get back on track. I think that'd be the main thing. And I think whatever it is, I mean, do it for the right reasons. Just do it for yourself. Well, actually, do it for yourself because that's what I did it for. But for example, I know a guy called William who's had a problem with drink, and he's clean now, stopped now, but his source of motivation was his daughter. So yeah, so take the inspiration from wherever you can get. Really.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Are you still running at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah? How much do you think you're running these days?
So 2010, running all the time, did the marathons, came back. 2011, I discovered ultra marathon running, which seems to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger now.
Yeah.
Which is, I love it, but there's a lot of the purists who go, get out of our race. You know what I mean? The guys that have been involved when there was like 20 people at a race, now there's like 400, and they're like, people have got headphones in, they're like, get your headphones out. I'm like, what is this? Some kind of weird club that you've got. You know what I mean? It's like a bit of a sort of, anyway, cult, yeah. So 2011, discovered ultramarathon running. Actually had my first DNF, so did not finish my first race in 2011, the West Highland Way race. 95 miles it is, and I just wasn't ready for it. I was a bit arrogant, to be honest. I kind of took it for granted, and you've got to apply. And on application, I was like, oh, I did 50 marathons, I'll be able to do this, no bother. I'd never done any proper off-road running. I'd never been on the West Highland Way. I was thinking to myself, oh, I did a 50 mile run in 8 hours, I'll do this in about 16 hours. And I pulled out about 25 miles in, and I just was like, I felt physically fine. But I was just, 2 things really. I felt I couldn't get my head around that I had all this distance to run, and the other one was I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. I was doing it so I could post it on social media. Honestly.
Yeah.
I was thinking when the going got tough, I thought, it's easy to give that up because I'm not doing it for the right reasons. I don't really want this. So that kind of, I learned a lot from that actually, which also is an important thing to learn from what you don't achieve. But so I ran kind of nowhere near what I was doing. I still kept running and doing races, but not in a serious way, just a kind of enjoyment way. And then last year, finished the West Highland Way race.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
So 2012, I signed up again after I failed to finish. Just bought a new house, started the job at Maggie's on the Monday, and thought there's no way I can run 95 miles and start a job on Monday.
Yeah.
So I pulled out. 2013, I didn't sign up. 2014, I pulled out before it started. I think you've got to apply, so I didn't get in 2015. 2016, I got in, I trained, and I had a hellish time. The hardest race I've done, harder than 50 marathons.
Seriously?
Yeah. And there's guys out there that do that race that go, this is easy. It's an easy race. They're kidding. They are absolute liars, because hardest in the sense that doing a marathon a day was really hard, but it's over in 3-4 hours. But this was, I got to mile 70 and I'd done it 17 miles the first 70 miles, 25 miles to go, and it took me 12 hours to do the last 25 miles. I just walked like a death march. At my feet, I had no skin left on my feet at all. It's not an exaggeration. And every step was just like, this is absolute agony. And those last 25 miles, I mean, started at 1 in the, there's guys doing 35 hours, but I started at 1 in the morning, the race starts. And that was on the Saturday, so 1 in the morning, and I finished it. So I went all the way through that day, 6:30 on the Sunday morning, It was a long shift, 29.5 hours.
Seriously.
Um,
Wow.
And it was mainly just, again, the sense of achievement was just, I don't know if it was more than the marathons, to be honest. I don't know. There was something about failing to do it and then coming back and doing it.
Yes.
It was really satisfying.
Oh.
Really
definitely.
satisfying, actually. And then this year, I set a challenge to run 10 races for Maggie's this year, because I'm 10 years smoke-free this year. So I've done 7. And what's been really good is I've discovered that, and our quote I love is I'm not setting challenges, I'm just existing. And I firmly believe that. So for me, I like running, but I don't think I'll ever be someone who can just run just because, oh, I like this is great. It's not enough of a motivator for me, so I have to have something there that's like, I need to go and do this otherwise. And the thing this year was set myself to do 10 races for Maggie's for the 10 years and raise some money for them. And I took it seriously, really seriously, because I knew I had to do it. And I was raising money for charity and things like that. And so in the 7 races I've done this year, I've set 5 personal bests. And
Wow.
I've not set personal bests in these distances for 7 years. So it's been really good to know that, oh, actually, I can get this back. I can actually push. And it's been hard work, but it's been really, really satisfying. And I've enjoyed all of it now. That's the difference, you know. I've really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll do the rest of my race again, but we'll see.
I read about another challenge that you'd done, which was 24 hours on a treadmill.
Yeah.
That you did like 129.2 miles.
Yeah. That was stupid. That was bad.
Yeah.
It was in the Corinthian Club in Glasgow, so in the bar. So it's 24-hour bar. So it's just people just steaming all around you, just singing "I love you" and all this stuff. And I was, we were raising money in the bar, so I was like, what better way to do it? Let's just set up in the busiest area of the bar. I just run on the thing, give me headphones and a TV, and I put 24 on Jack Bauer. I thought I could just watch that for 24 hours, whole series. And people were just go check notes in the bucket and all this stuff. And yeah, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. I mean, and this is another thing that is so stupid. I look back on these things, and you know, that thing I said to you about not being prepared. This was a bad thing not to be prepared, because and people were like, how did you not get this? But I don't run on treadmills at all. So I've no concept of what it feels like on a treadmill, the speed and things. And I borrowed the treadmill from someone. And the last thing I said to him was, what's the treadmill set to? And I said, what do you mean? I was like, was it miles per hour, kilometres per hour? And he said, oh, I think it's kilometres per hour. So I just put it to 10. And I was running along, and 2 hours in I was like, I am absolutely shattered. And I came off and I went downstairs to this toilet, and I was sitting in the toilet, and I was like, my head was spinning, everything. I thought, for 22 hours to do this? 22 hours to go, I've only done 20 kilometres. Went back upstairs, did an hour, like 6 miles, so it's 26 kilometres, but it turned out it was in miles per hour. Crazy.
Oh,
so I thought that I was doing 10 kilometres an hour, I was doing 10 miles an hour, so 6-minute miles. So, but do you know what's interesting? Because I was on the floor feeling, oh my God, I feel dreadful. And then when Brim was like, I've just called Neil, and he's looked into it all and everything, and it's miles per hour. Because I wondered why after about 5 minutes, 10 minutes of running on it, I was like, I am absolutely shattered, breathing heavy. 10 kilometres an hour for me at that point was like easy pace. And but I went from there to, this is brilliant. I've actually managed to bag like a marathon in like, you know, just over 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I was trying to break the world record, 161 miles. And my heart hurts, I knew I wouldn't do it. But it was a good spin to try and, I thought I'll give it a go. But realistically, if I can do the 24 hours, it'd be great, and we'll raise some money.
Yeah.
But I was told that, well, if you want to get coverage for the charity, you better say it's a world record attempt. I'm not ashamed to say that, so we said it was a world record attempt. So I'd done 80 miles in 12 hours, and I knew I was never going to negatives, but I knew I was never going to do 81 miles in the last 12 hours, and I managed like 52, whatever it was, whatever you said.
Okay.
So yeah, it was not good.
Not
it
again.
was not. No, never again. No, never again. No.
I also read that even in spite of like all the achievements you've had, all the great things you've done, your first ever 10K race still stands out as the one that was like your kind of proudest moment. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, people think that'd be mad, but they don't know where I was at that point. And that thing about not being phased now is if I sign up for races without even giving it a second thought, no matter how long it is, or what it is, or where it is, and because I know I'll finish it, you know what I mean? Because I know I'll just go, I'll find a way to finish it, and if I don't finish it, so what? But that race, for me, there was a lot riding on that. I didn't realise at the time, but you know, the fact that I managed to exceed my own expectations, and I said everybody else's, it was the first time I'd achieved that in my entire life, to be honest. And after that, I just thought, yeah, it probably is the proudest moment, actually. It really is. Yeah. It really is, yeah, it is.
I suppose it's like the sort of snowball effect.
Yeah.
Had you not had the success, or had it not gone as well,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't have ended up doing everything that you've subsequently done, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely right, yeah.
Yeah.
It would have, you know, it probably would have set me back, and who knows, I could have started smoking again, I don't
Absolutely.
know. You know, if you hadn't seen that progression, you know, I could have went, oh, what a bloody waste of time this is, you know.
Totally.
Yeah. And in a way, that addiction of smoking kind of got replaced by running.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It did, you know.
Yeah.
It really did. Healthier addiction to have. Although everybody I say, oh, you run, oh, it's bad for your knees, that. I'm like, that's so sitting on the couch, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, sitting on the couch 6 days a week isn't good either, though. Do you know what I mean? It's this great. There's this great American runner called Dean Karnazes.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And he's fantastic. And I can't remember his quote, but he was like, he said when he gets to the end of his life, he wants to get to the end battered and bruised and cut up and going, wow, what a ride. And I want to do that as well.
Yeah.
You know, whenever that is, I want to do that as well. I want to go, wow. You'll never do anything you want to do because life's too short for that. But when I get there, I want to go, wow, I've made a difference and I've lived a life as full as I can. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. It's been brilliant hearing about, well, geez, your life, your running, your achievements. It's been absolutely phenomenal. At this stage, I'd like to probably go a little bit deeper and cover some of the more, I suppose, bigger kind of philosophical topics. The first of which is purpose. In terms of your own life, what do you feel is your own life purpose?
Well, my wife's 22 weeks pregnant, so I guess it's going to be being the best dad I can, which I'm so excited about. I've been ready for years. Being the best husband I can, doing as well in my career as I can, really doing the best I can at everything that I put my mind to. That's it. And if I don't feel like, if I'm doing something, I think, for example, if my work ever became like that recipe I talked about, I would do something else because I can't risk going back to that way I was before of just not feeling like I'm super excited about every day.
Yeah.
And at the moment I am. So.
You spoke earlier about Maggie's incredible legacy. What would you like your own legacy to be?
Part of it, on my deathbed, to go, had a great time. Right, I did everything, you know, I did everything that I could with the time I had. You know, I don't care so much what people think of me, to be honest, about our people.
It's a good way to be.
Yeah, I don't really care about any of that. So I don't care if people think he was a good guy. Do you know what I mean? I just don't, you know. I don't really think I'm a horrible guy.
No.
But it's not something that's on my mind. But I think mainly just that to be, everything I did, I gave it 100%. Yeah, that's really it.
What are you most grateful for in life?
Probably would be. That's a good question. Because you don't really think about that so much. The easy cop-out question would be just grateful to be healthy and alive, but that goes without saying. Do you know what I mean? But because who isn't? Grateful. I think this might be what people might expect to hear, but I wouldn't say, you know, it was awful what happened to me when I was young with my mum, but it was awful, but it's given me a perspective on life. and a real value for, and actually my career's done this as well where I work, but giving me a real value for little things and everyday things, and you know, respect for people.
Yeah, I can totally see that. How something like that happening so early in your life would shape you and the way that you see things. So yeah, definitely. How do you define success?
It's not money anyway, put it that way. We'll get that out of the way right now. It's definitely not money or what school you went to or what car you drive or where you live. I think it's just if you're happy, you know. I think it really is. I don't mean like, hey, I love everything, but just if you can find things in your life which make you happy and content. For me, that could be sitting in my conservatory having an espresso coffee in the morning. I'm sorry if I'm saying too many brands here, but you know, that's my brand of coffee. You know, and for me, like, and again, that's finding joy in these little things. You know, some of my favourite things to do: have a coffee in the morning, espresso coffee. Yeah, I think it's just if you're happy and can find everyday contentness, because it's so hard these days to do that. You know, because there's just so many distractions. There's phones. There's catch-up TV, there's, you know, have to be doing stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think if you can stop all that, clear your mind, and don't feel too terrified to be in your own head for a little bit, which can be quite intimidating, I think, yeah, that inner kind of, I feel quite content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Who or what inspires you?
Lots of people, lots of things. I mean, lots of people and lots of things for different reasons. People I meet at work, again, I touched on earlier, some for their bravery, some for their tenderness, some for their openness, some are so honest, some for their empathy for others. Some of the people that I work with, they're so dedicated. They have their own things going on, but they still support people with things you couldn't even imagine. I've heard things in there that I just can't even comprehend having to go through. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of something more to say, but I guess that's it. Lots of different things. No one thing, you know, not one thing at all.
You spoke a couple of times about being able to look back on your life and say, wow, what a ride, that was incredible. What are some of the big kind of bucket list goals that you still want to tick off in order to feel like that?
Yeah, it's run around the world's probably off the cards now. I'm serious, yeah. That was one of my things.
Seriously?
There's a great woman called Rosie Swill Pope. She ran around the world. She lost her husband. Oof. She was a pensioner and she ran around the world. She got a great book, and she took her 5 years. It was incredible. I don't think I'm going to get 5 years away from my family or my job. It's probably a stretch too far. There's lots of things I still want to do. That is to raise a family. Probably it's at the forefront of my mind at the moment. To be honest, that is that. You know, I said that my thoughts were dominated of how good will it be to get to Barcelona. At the moment, it's how good will it be when my son or daughter's here. So that's really at the forefront of my mind at the moment. Raise a good family. Yeah, career-wise, I'm quite relaxed about it. You know, I think it is just that. Career-wise, it's more just go with the flow a bit, and if I feel like I want to do something different, either at Maggie's or somewhere else, then I'll do it. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
My mum said, "Be a leader, not a follower." I don't know if I've managed to do that. I think it's good to be a bit of both at times. So maybe she was wrong with that one. Best bit of advice. This probably says that I'm not good at taking advice on board, that I can't come up with anything, but best piece of advice. I don't know if it's one piece of advice. It's more, I don't know how I would say it. I don't know if it's like, nobody's said one nugget to me that's maybe think, wow, what a great bit of advice. I think it would be more the best thing that I've got from our people would be more observing some people that and seeing how they act and behave and respect people, and thinking what I'm getting from them just from being around these really positive people, I'm getting so much from that. So it's not so much advice as in like, you know, don't smoke cigarettes. It's more learning from other people. That kind of side, it's sort of advice in a way.
Yeah, definitely. If you had the opportunity to speak to your 20-year-old self, what would you say?
Oh goodness, I didn't read the questions. You see, you sent over. It's really caught me off.
That makes it better.
In a way, I wouldn't say it. I don't know about giving it. I don't think I would give him any advice. I would just say crack on the way you are, because I had a great time when I was 20 years old, actually. And that, going through all that stuff, you know, I mean, me and my friends we were quite wild. You know, and I think you've got to do that as well when you're young. And that's kind of shaped who I am as well now as well. So I don't think I would give him any huge things to say you need to change this. I think I'd tell him to stop smoking. I would definitely tell him to stop smoking earlier than he did. Do you know, actually, maybe now, oh God, I don't know where that came from, but maybe now that I think I've got quite a small family. So there's my brother, his wife, my wife now, obviously, and her in-laws, but my immediate family is me, my dad, my brother, my aunt. We lost touch with a lot of family. My mum passed away. And I would like to have spent more time with, they're still alive, my aunt, my brother, my dad, but I'd like to spend more time with them when we were younger, I think. And I try to do as much now as I can. But you kind of like that, you're 20 years old, that's 14 years ago. And now obviously, not my dad wasn't pleased with me, but he's not able to do the same things that he once could. So, so there's lots of things I probably said, spend more time, you know, with my family. I try and make up for that now, but good life lesson for becoming a dad. So
Definitely. Yeah. If you could change anything in the world, what would it be and why?
This is really interesting, because there's so many answers that come straight to my head. I'm like, I can't say that, it's too cliche. Maybe I should just say what came straight in my head, but it's basically I wish everybody would just take a chill and just actually get a grip, to be honest. Like, just stop being so self-absorbed. I was in London on Monday, unbelievable. I'm not just saying it's people in London, there's people everywhere, but I'm like, we're all human beings, right? We're all just trying to get on. Everybody wants the same thing. They want somewhere to live. They want a roof over their head. They want their family to be all right. They want their friends, and they just all want the same thing. Just stop, fanning around. Yeah. Like, and just, especially with the world that is at the moment. I mean, it'll never go away. We can't solve anything. The whole world history has been war. My dad says we're naturally violent, and I'm starting to believe there's an element to that. But yeah, I think, just for everybody just to respect each other more, a little bit more. We're not getting all zen about it and like, Buddhist monks about it, but just to kind of be a bit kinder to each other. And actually as well, if I could change one thing, people to be a bit kinder to themselves as well. So harsh, so much pressure on people these days, especially young people. And a lot of that comes from things like social media and peer-to-peer pressure. And for me, it was who had the latest like Teddy Smith jumper going to school. We didn't have social media and all that stuff, mobiles. So I can only imagine how hard it must be now growing up. So that'd be it.
Good answer. I actually half expected you to say something about education. Add that to the list of things.
Yeah. Add that to the list, actually. Education, I would. There's a great talk by a guy called Sir Ken Robinson. TED Talk. It's fantastic.
It is, isn't it?
I actually just thought every person who's a senior in education should watch that. And just, I remember watching that and thinking that's exactly how I felt. I think that's why it's had so many views and things like that, and it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And I've got like 5 or 6 friends that are teachers, and they all go, "Wow, what a talk! It's absolutely right." But yeah, education important, but not the be all and end all. You know, obviously exam days today, I think it is. All the results are coming out.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of people who are disappointed, but you know, hopefully they realise that you can do great things without having, you know, hires and things like that, or even standard grades.
Yeah.
You know, just have to have the right mindset again. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you think you'll raise your own child?
Oh, whatever my wife says.
Yeah.
I think, do you know what? This is funny. I mean, it's such a slagging from my friends for this interview. No, but I watched this video on YouTube, and it was a guy with his daughter. His daughter was really young, 3 or 4 or something. He had her in this mirror. You should watch it. It's really cool. It's really cute as well. And he's standing there and he says, "Repeat after me." And he's like, "I am beautiful." And his little girl's like, "I am beautiful." It's like, you know, I don't know if you've seen it.
I have seen that.
It's
yeah.
amazing. He goes
Yeah.
through all these things. I am not better than anyone else, and they are not better than me. And it's just instilling those values. You know, those values that you know, I guess generations gone by, they weren't so aware of that stuff. It's a different generation, different time. Drum that into people from the start, and try and be as positive a role model as you can. I think that'll be it. Yeah.
Great answer. Mark, I've loved speaking with you. It's been so much fun. It's been a brilliant interview. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elliot. It's been great.
You're absolutely welcome. And I wish you all the best with fatherhood when it comes. And I'd definitely love to stay in touch.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Mark, thanks so much.
Thanks.
Cheers.